Hello students of class 11. Welcome back once again to your biology class. Today in our class we are going to start a new chapter, that is the biomolecules. You know the structure and the function of any cell or organism. These are determined by the molecular structure, the arrangement, the properties and the interactions of the chemical components. And every living organism, it contains both inorganic and organic compounds which contribute to the structural aspects and the functional aspects also. So all these chemical compounds on the molecules which is present in the living organism is known as biomolecules. The organic compounds contain carbon in them as the base or the building blocks, and so they are also known as carbon compound. And the branch of science which related to the molecular organization of any organism is called the molecular biology, and biochemistry has also emerged as an interdisciplinary science between chemistry and biology, which is concerned chiefly with the chemistry of biological processes. Now, what is the cellular pool? Let me tell you about the components of the cellular pool. The cellular pool basically consists of inorganic substances and organic substances. Inorganic substances means the water, minerals and the gases. Organic substances is divided into micromolecules and the macromolecules. The micromolecules means the monosaccharide, oligosaccharide, lipids, amino acids, nucleic acids and so on. Nucleotides we say in other words. And macromolecule again can be divided into polysaccharide, nucleic acid, protein and vitamins. Okay, micromolecules, what I said, monosaccharide, oligosaccharides, lipids, amino acid and nucleotides. So you have to know about the components of the cellular pool, each differently. Okay, and the cellular pool, what is that? It is a term which is given to the collection of various types of molecules in a cell. And the cellular pool, it has the different classes which are told. You have to know the function of these different minerals. You have to know the functions of the water, like calcium gets deposited in the bones and the teeth and they give strength to them. Clear? Now monosaccharides, what are these? These are the simplest carbohydrate which cannot be further hydrolyzed into smaller units, and they have an empirical formula of CH2O whole 6 or whole 5. It depends on the nature of the monosaccharide. And you have to know about the deoxyribose sugar. Deoxyribose sugar also, it has only one oxygen atom. One oxygen atom is less in that. And pentose and the hexose, they occur in open or also in straight form, as well as closed chain cyclic ring form, and also in the other open chain forms. Okay, and pyranose ring form is a hexagon with 5 carbon atom and 1 oxygen atom, as it is found in glucose. Okay, now what are the properties of monosaccharides? These are all reducing sugars, we say, right? And they have either a free aldehyde or a ketone group, and the aldehyde or ketone group of one monosaccharide can react with an alcoholic group of the next sugar and form glycosidic bond. Now what are the functions of monosaccharide? They form a number of intermediates in the glycolytic pathway, as also in the photosynthetic carbon cycle, right? And the glucose is the form of monosaccharide which is oxidized by the living cells to yield a lot of energy. And ribose and deoxyribose, they form the components of the nucleic acid, RNA and DNA respectively. And monosaccharides have an amino group or NH2 group, that are amino sugars. And oligosaccharides can be hydrolyzed into simple sugars and monosaccharides. And these are the carbohydrates which contain. Disaccharides are the carbohydrates which contain two monosaccharides joined together by a glycosidic bond. You can give an example of sucrose, lactose or maltose in this case. Okay. And apart from that, the fatty acids, lipids may be simply a fatty acid which has the carboxyl group attached to the R group here, where R group can be methyl group or ethyl group. And fatty acids are of two types. One is saturated fatty acid, another is the unsaturated fatty acids. Saturated fatty acids have single bond in their molecules and they have high melting point and remain solid as at room temperature. And these are very less reactive. These are the saturated fatty acids, and most of them are non-essential fatty acids. And in case of unsaturated fatty acids have one or more double or triple bonds in their molecules. They have low melting point and are liquid at room temperature, and these are more effective. And mostly the unsaturated fatty acids are essential fatty acids. Fats, what are these? These are the simple lipids. These are fatty esters of glycerol, where these fatty acids are mostly saturated, and these are called fats. And these are solid at room temperature and they have very high melting point, and unsaturated fatty acids or fats can be converted into saturated fats by hydrogenation. Example, like we get butter, ghee, etc. Now, what are the wax? Wax are also the fatty acid esters of long chain monohydric alcohol. So, they differ from oil and fat, where the alcohol is glycerol. Now, cutin, you have heard about this term. They occur on the surface of the plant organs, and they also form the water insoluble coating on hair and the skin of the animals. As a result, water can't penetrate the inner portion or the underlying tissues. Lanolin is also a wax which is secreted by the cutaneous gland of animals and forms a protective coating on the animal's fur. Beeswax also is an ester of palmitic acid with medicyl alcohol. Apart from that, paraffin wax is also obtained from petroleum. Clear? Now, phospholipids, what are these phospholipids? These are the fatty acid esters of glycerol, where the fatty acid is replaced by a phosphate group, which is often linked to a nitrogenous group, like we can give an example of choline, aminoethanol, or serine. Okay, and lecithin, it has choline as the polar group, and cephalin and aminoethanol. These are the examples. And glycolipids, what are these? Glycolipids are the compound lipids and are primarily carbohydrate glyceryl derivative and do not have phosphate. That is one group of glycolipids called cerebroside. They occur in the white matter and gray matter and myelin sheath of the nerve fibers. And lipoprotein are composed of lipid and the protein. Lipids are transported in the body fluids of the humans as lipoproteins. Okay, and some derived lipids are also there, like steroids, then steroids. These are there. And amino acids, these are the organic compound which contain an amino group NH2, and an acidic or carboxyl group COOH, which is attached to the alpha carbon or the carbon next to the carboxyl group. General formula is there, you have to draw the structure. Actually, these are substituted methane with four substituent groups occupying the 4 valency position of the carbon. There are hydrogen, carboxyl group, amino group, and a variable group which is designated as the R group. Okay, you have to draw the structure of the different types which is given in your book. Okay, now the amino acids, these are classified into acidic, neutral, and basic amino acid. The acidic amino acid, these are classified as monocarboxylic amino acid, which is the neutral, monoamino dicarboxylic amino acid, which is acidic, diamino monocarboxylic amino acid, which is basic, sulfur containing amino acid, aromatic amino acid, these are also present there. Okay, and amino acids are also classified into essential amino acids, semi-indispensable, and non-essential amino acid with reference to the human nutrition. Essential amino acids are those amino acids which needs to be taken in the diet, okay, and which cannot be synthesized by the body, and but our body needs it. Understood? Like valine, lysine. Lysine is the only amino acid that does not have any asymmetric carbon atom, and so they do not have any optical isomer. And these essential amino acids, remember, it cannot be synthesized in the body and have to be taken in our diet. Understood? Another is there non-essential amino acids also. Now, before that, I want to tell you what are the functions of this amino acid. The amino acids are the building blocks of protein. Okay, and tyrosine that is converted into thyroxine, adrenaline, and melanin also. Amino acids they form glucose after the removal of the amino group of the carbon chain, and this process is known as gluconeogenesis. Okay, and glycine it is involved in the formation of heme, that is hemoglobin also. Now we come to non-essential amino acids. Non-essential amino acids are those amino acids which can be synthesized by our body. Example: glycine, alanine, serine, cytosine, tyrosine, and so on. Okay, you give 2 to 3 examples each. And nucleotides, what are these? These are the organic compounds with heterocyclic rings, and they consist of a nitrogen base, a pentose sugar, and a phosphate group. The nitrogen bases are of two types. One is purine, another is the pyrimidine. Purine, they have double rings. Example, you can give an example of adenine and guanine. And pyrimidine, they have a single ring. Pyrimidine have a single ring in their molecular structure, like thymine, cytosine, and uracil. Now, what are the functions of nucleotides? The purine and pyrimidine nucleotides, these are the monomers of nucleic acid, and higher nucleotides, they higher nucleotides basically they store energy in the phosphate bond, like ATP, adenosine triphosphate, GTP, guanosine triphosphate, etc. And nicotinamide and riboflavin nucleotides function as coenzymes for dehydrogenase. Now, polysaccharides are the complex carbohydrate which are the polymers of more than 10 monosaccharide units. These are also known as glycans. Now, on the basis of the component, monosaccharide can be divided into homopolysaccharide and heteropolysaccharide. Homopolysaccharide have only one type of monomer, and heteropolysaccharide have two or more types of monomers in them. Cellulose, it is also another homopolysaccharide which is found in the cell wall of the plants and certain protists. If it's a rigid, insoluble structural polysaccharide. Now, cellulose uses are also there. The fibers of cotton, linen, jute, these are used for making clothes, ropes, bags, etc. The cellulose material is used in the manufacture of rayon, and this acetate is used in cellulosic plastics and fibers, and cellulose nitrate is used in explosive. Okay, carboxymethyl cellulose also are used in cosmetics, etc. And glycogen, it is a storage polysaccharide of animals, and this is known as the animal starch. It is stored in the liver cells and in the muscle cells. Clear? Then inulin. Inulin is a polymer of fructose, and it is a storage of polysaccharides of tubers of dahlia and other members of the Asteraceae. Agar, it is a polymer of sulfated galactose monomer which is obtained from the red algae or seaweeds like Gelidium and Gracilaria. Agar, what it is used? It is used as a culture medium in the laboratory for culturing microorganism. It is used as a laxative in detergents also, in metallurgy and metal plating industry, and in explosives. And what is xylan? Xylan is a homopolymer of xylose, and it is found in the tertiary cell wall of gymnosperm. Chitin is a polymer of N-acetyl glucosamine, and it's a nitrogen containing saccharide. Apart from the pectin, hemicellulose, these are also there. Pectin is a homopolysaccharide composed of arabinose, galactose, and galacturonic acid. Clear? And hemicellulose is a heteropolysaccharide composed of glucose, galactose, mannose, and xylose, having a short branched chain form, and it is found basically in the cell wall of the plants. Clear? Now you know about the DNA, the structure of the DNA, the Watson and Crick model. They proposed a double helical structure of DNA based on the X-ray diffraction data produced by this structure. Now, according to this model, the DNA is a double-stranded, and two strands are there. And two strands, these are anti-parallel, that is, they run in opposite directions. And the two chains are coiled in a right hand fashion, and the pitch of the helix is 3.4 nanometer, and 10 base pairs are present. The plane of one base pair stacks over the other in a double helix. Okay, and hydrogen bonds are found specifically between the adenine of one strand and thymine of the other strand, and between the guanine of one strand and the cytosine of the other. Such a pairing of base is known as complementary base pairing. Okay, and you have to know the difference between the DNA and the RNA. And three types of RNAs are there: mRNA, tRNA, and rRNA. mRNA or messenger RNA, what is that? It is a single stranded molecule which carries the genetic information transcribed on it by DNA to the site of protein synthesis. Transfer RNA or tRNA, it is the smallest among the RNAs, and it becomes looped to produce a clover leaf-like structure in 2 dimensions and an inverted L-shaped structure in 3 dimensions. It has an amino acid attachment at the site of 3' and in the loop opposite to it. It's a site called anticodon, and it acts as adapter molecule and transport the amino acid from anywhere in the cytoplasm to the site of the peptide formation, and it is recognized by the codon of mRNA by the formation of hydrogen bonds. Another is the rRNA or ribosomal RNA. What is that? It constitutes about 70 to 80% of the RNA and is a main constituent of ribosome. It has both coiled and uncoiled regions, and it consists of 4 types in the ribosome based on their sedimentation coefficient, that is 20S, 18S, 5.8S and 5S in the eukaryote, and 23S, 16S and 5S in prokaryote. mRNA binds to the ribosome following the complementary base pairing between the bases of rRNA and those of mRNA for the synthesis of the protein within the body. Understood? Now you have to know the enzymes. What are these? These are the enzymes are the proteins which catalyze the metabolic reactions of the living cells. So these are known as the biocatalyst. And what are the characteristics of enzyme? In general, the enzymes are basically chemically proteins, but ribosome and RNAs and P and non-proteinaceous enzymes. They arise from the living cells and are wanted in micro or minute quantities, and they speed up the metabolic reactions by reducing the activation energy. Understood? Now, what is the chemical nature of the enzymes? There are 2 types of enzymes: simple enzyme and conjugate enzyme. Simple enzymes are the enzymes which consist of only one amino acid, and conjugate enzymes, they have a protein part which is called apoenzyme and a non-protein part called the cofactors. Okay, so the cofactors are of 2 types, namely coenzymes and prosthetic group. So you have to know about these enzymes. And the classification of enzymes, you don't need to know, you have to know only about the ligase. Ligase are the enzymes which catalyze the formation of larger molecules by combining the smaller molecules, right? And isomerase, these isomerase enzymes catalyze the rearrangement of atoms in a molecule to form another isomer of the compound. Understood? Now, the substance of the chemicals on which an enzyme function is known as the substrate, and the enzyme, a protein, mostly in its tertiary structure, in its tertiary structure, they convert the substrate into the product. Like substrate, in presence of enzyme, they form product, we say in short. Now, what are the factors which affect the enzyme activity? The activity of the enzyme basically can be affected by all the factors which bring about the changes in the tertiary configuration, like the factors of temperature, pH, concentration of the substrate, the accumulation of the product at the site of the production, which is known as the feedback inhibition, the chemicals which alter the enzyme structure, and the chemicals which compete with the substrate for the active site. Okay, first about the temperature, every enzyme functions at a narrow range of temperature, and the temperature at which the enzyme shows maximum activity is called the optimum temperature. At low temperature, the enzyme becomes inactive, or at high temperature, the enzymes become denatured. Okay, now if you think about the pH, how this pH affect the enzymes. The enzymes function at a maximum pH value, which is known as the optimum pH. Okay, and below the above optimum pH, the configuration of the protein changes will take place, and the active sites are not accessible to the substrate. so the rate of reaction will decline. About the concentration of the substrate, with the increase in substrate concentration, the velocity of the enzyme reaction will also increase initially. And if the product of an enzyme reaction is not removed from the site or it's not utilized by the cell, that product exerts an inhibitory effect on the enzyme and reduces or stops the reaction. Such a phenomenon of inhibition of an enzyme reaction by its own product is known as feedback inhibition. And the chemicals also alter the enzyme substrate, like any chemical substance which altered the pH of the medium. They bring about the changes in the tertiary structure of the enzyme, and these chemicals indirectly can affect the enzyme reaction. Metabolic pathways are of two types. And what is metabolism? Before that, you have to know the sum total of all the chemical reactions occurring in a living organism is called metabolism. And no metabolic reaction occur in isolation. Always metabolic reactions are linked to some other reaction to form metabolic pathways. Metabolic pathways are of two types. One is anabolic pathway, another is the catabolic pathway. The anabolic pathways are biosynthetic pathways where complex molecules are formed from simple molecules. And catabolic pathways or degradation pathways where complex molecules are broken down into the simple molecules. I think you have understood till this much. This is all about this chapter. Thank you.